of God that we'll consider today is from 3 different chapters of the book of Romans, chapters 13, 14, and 15. In this whole section, Paul talks about one anothering. And so again, the thoughts fit together, and so I've selected those key verses for that. Let no debt remain outstanding, except the continuing debt to love one another. For he who loves his fellow man has fulfilled the law. Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in your brother's way. May the God who gives endurance and encouragement give you a spirit of unity among yourselves as you follow Christ Jesus, so that with one heart and mouth you may glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Accept one another then, just as Christ accepted you, in order to bring praise to God. As I read the day. Alan, do you know what I have right here?
A lei.
A lei, yeah. Do you know what this is for? For your neck, right. Now, do you know where people like to give this? What state of our country people like to give these leis out?
Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah, very good. Hawaii. Do you know why they do that? No? Because when you give this person a lei, it says you are accepted, you are welcomed. I'm told that's officially true. You are welcomed, you are accepted. Well, in our church, we don't have anything that's a lei here, but we hear God's word. Accept one another, just as Christ has accepted you. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Lord God, fill each of us with the acceptance and love you have provided for us. Let each of us know that we are a part of your kingdom, that your goodness and mercy has covered all of our sins, that we are your people by grace through faith in Jesus our Savior. Amen. There was a man named Bruckner Fanning, serving in World War II at the year he ended it. Bruckner Fanning was a very fine Christian man who served, and his assignment was to go to the city of Nagasaki 3 weeks after the atomic bomb had been dropped there. He and his fellow soldiers were to keep order there. They were to make sure that the uprising did not happen. The surrender of the Japanese nation was going to take place right then. He performed his duties. He walked around town. He saw a sign on a building that had still partially standing at least. And he saw the sign in English letters, Christian Church. And so Fanning made a mental note and decided that next Sunday he was going to attend church there because that's what he liked to do. Imagine him as he walked to that building the next day. It was still, I'd say, half destroyed. He got there, and about 20 Japanese there, still clearing out some rubble, still getting things, where they getting a few chairs, if you're going to call them that, or leftover chairs, set up again for worship. Can you imagine when a big, tall Anglo-American walks in, whose country had just sent that horrible atomic bomb on your city? Would you have accepted that person? You stood in the doorway, just kind of waiting to see what happened, and kind of all 20 Japanese came over there and said, come in, come in. And so he did. They gave him a seat, the best chair that they had. I'm going to call it that there. He sat down for worship. Of course, he didn't speak a whole lot of Japanese. Well, he did hear one word that they all said to him as they invited him in. Brother in Japanese. Would you have accepted it if the shoes were reversed? Would you have welcomed a man into your worship whose country had just unleashed such a devastating weapon and killed literally over 100,000 people? What those Japanese knew, and what I hope that we know, is that all of us are accepted by God, no matter who we are, where we are, what nation we're from, what our nationality is, what language we speak. We are all accepted by God. How? through faith in Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amazing, he said even more that day had to be Communion Sunday, and he just kind of just sat there, not knowing what to do. The pastor came over to him and served him Holy Communion. Everybody else came up, he went and served him communion. What love those people displayed to a man like that. So today our final sermon on one another is going to talk about love one another, accept one another. Now the reading is from the book of Romans. Now we get to know a bit about the people in Rome. The Roman people were a very divided congregation in a way. Probably the slight majority were Romans, Gentiles, people who had not grown up knowing the Old Testament, people who had come to believe in Jesus Christ as the Savior from sin, for the missionaries that went out and taught them, the disciples and their followers. The slight minority in the group were the ex-Jews, people who knew the Old Testament, people who knew all the promises, who also realized Jesus was that promised Savior. He fulfilled all the prophecies. He suffered and died for the sins of the world. He rose again for them, that they might go to God's heaven. And you would think that there would not be ever any problems in a Christian church, right? Just like today, there's never a problem in Christian churches, is there? Well, there was then and there is now because there are sinful people involved in both. The issues that are talked about, I didn't put in the text today because it would take up too much space there, but there are two main issues that were going on in the congregation at Rome. The first issue was eating. Some were vegetarian, some were not. This is actually a little bit of a carryover from something else I'll explain in just a second right here. People were criticizing some for their diet, what they consumed. And you think, who would care? We go to our potluck here. Do you care, Christian, if I have salad or not? No. If I only eat salad, you care? No, not a bit, right? But back then they did. And the reason being is because the foods that were served there had a taint to them. Okay? Back then there were many idol temples. And again, if you didn't have cash, and most of them didn't, you would provide a sheep or a goat or maybe a cow. That would be your payment for X number of days or months, whatever, depending on the size of the animal. Well, these temple prostitutes were all fertility cults almost, and you know what goes on there, right? Fertility. And so again, the temple prostitutes, both male and female, had to do something with these animals. They couldn't eat it all in a day or two before the meat would spoil, so what do? You take it down to the local butcher and you sell it to him. He puts it in his shelves there, and the people walking by getting their dinner that night. They had no McDonald's back then. Getting their dinner that night, they would stop by and pick out their leg of lamb or their rump roast or whatever it is they're going to have for dinner that night and cook it. So the odds of your dinner that night, having been at one time part of a sacrifice to a false god, they figured at that time, and the historians now figured, were probably about 2 out of 3. So a lot of people really bothered by eating meat. So what did they do? They ate no meat. They became vegetarians, like we just talked about here. That was one issue. I'm going to combine. We're going to talk about why they're an issue later on. The other was on the holy days. Which day of the week should we worship on? Remember the Old Testament Jews, what day they worship on? Saturday, that's right. Saturday. Because again, that was the Sabbath day, right? But then the passage that God gave to St. Paul in Colossians chapter 2 said it doesn't make any difference which day you worship on. It doesn't make any difference if you observe this one or that one. What does matter? That you worship God regularly, gladly, and joyfully. And so again, there's a big hassle. Should you celebrate this or not? Should you worship on Saturday or Sunday? The early Christians chose Sunday because that was the day that Jesus rose from the dead. They chose Sunday because that was the day that they wanted to celebrate Christ's coming out of the tomb. And so again, now there was a divide right there. These Old Testament guys, and those meats, especially pork, So there were issues right there. There were struggles. St. Paul then says, accept one another. If one eats meat and one does not, it makes no difference. If one is a vegetarian or not, it makes no difference. If one worships on Saturday or Sunday, it makes no difference. What does make a difference? Has it all been done to God's glory? Out of faith in Him. So the problem, the situation was that they were practicing these things and they were criticizing each other. They were not being loving toward each other. They were saying that you were wrong. And they weren't. Now Paul says to them, accept one another then, just as Christ accepted you, in order to bring praise to God. Love one another, for he who loves his fellow man has fulfilled the law. You see, you can get a similar thing today, can't we? Let me give you good examples here. Some might say again, well, I'm having a glass of wine with my spaghetti. And that's great because I know I can have just one glass of wine, not have too much, and enjoy that wine with my spaghetti. Someone else might say, oh, no, Christine, you wanton woman, how dare you have wine? You know wine leads to, don't you? Drunkenness and all kinds of debauchery. And so we're not going to drink any wine. Is either wrong? No. Those who are afraid of getting into sin should stay away from the wine. Those who know they can control it, who do control it, do it the way God intended it, just enough. Go ahead and do that too, right? Accept one another. Whether you do or whether you don't, accept one another. You see, Paul talks about accepting one another. Maturity as a Christian that we have right here. So many things that we do are just traditions, aren't they? Does it matter if we stand during the gospel reading or not? No. Why do we do it? Because we show respect for God. One church does, one church doesn't. Does it matter? No. What matters is that we hear God's word, isn't it? Sitting or standing makes no difference whatsoever. It's still God's word. Nothing changes there, does it? Except one another, see? So often, the Christians especially, I think this is one of the temptations Satan uses frequently to us, to think we're always right. I know that starts right up in front here especially. One of the things that professors always said, don't ever forget, men, you can and will be wrong. You can and will sin. Confess your sins. Don't think you're always right. Remember to love one another. Not a good advice there, wasn't it? Love one another for what God has done for us. Share with each other what God has provided for us. That's the God we have, isn't it? So we accept one another as Christ accepted us. Today, again, we have a tradition, don't we, in our church to celebrate Lent. Coming up in just a little while, March 1st. Do we have to celebrate midweek Lenten services? No. Nowhere in the Bible it does it. Do Lutheran churches all across the country do that? Yeah, we do. Because we find it to be a great tradition, a time of preparation for our hearts. Those midweek Lenten services are there to help us remember the great sacrifice Christ made and why He needed to make it. Because of our sins. It helps us to focus again on the wonderful blessing we have as being forgiven believers in Jesus. It reminds us of our need to repent of our sins, to turn from those sins, to reject those sins, to struggle with sin, and to remember when we fall into sin that Jesus has and will continue to forgive those sins of penitent sinners. See, Lent reminds us again of our sin. Lent's a time I tell people to make us knee-high to a grasshopper. That we recognize the depth, the tragedy, the seriousness of our sin. That we realize how horrible those sins are before God. How much we need to reject those sins, to sorrow over those sins, to repent of those sins. reminds us that we are lost and condemned creatures. And without that repentant heart that trusts in Jesus Christ, we'd be lost forever in the devil's domain called hell. Do we have to do that? No, we don't. Is it a wonderful blessing? I think so. I hope you'll make every effort to attend the services. Pastor Fife and I switched this year. You see, freedom we have in Christ. Accept one another as Christ accepted you. There was one of the pastors I know, I should say, his name is Pastor Ken Lentz. He has a call to serve in prison ministries in the Milwaukee, Madison area of Wisconsin there. And so it's all he does is to see people in institutions. You know what I mean by institutions. Right? Some of the nursing homes, there are a few of those he does, but mostly he does with prisoners. He's got a very thriving one there. In the one prison he goes to, in fact, there are 350 guys that average on a Sunday service when he comes there. 350, can you imagine that? He's very gifted in that, and God's blessed him with a way to communicate with prisoners that most of us don't have. And so the Pastor Lentz, he goes in and he's accustomed to shaking everybody's hand as they come into church and as they go out of church right there. He told me, he said, one day I was thinking, the hands, I'm thinking how many of those hands held a gun against somebody and maybe even fired a gun. How many of those hands held a knife and maybe stabbed somebody with that knife? How many of those hands weren't cocked in a fist and hit their wife or girlfriend or someone else? The sinful hands. Then he remembered, my hands are just as sin-stained as theirs. I might not do those kind of sins. God forbid anyone should do those kind. But we do the other ones, don't we? The backstabbing, the complaining, the griping, the whining, the lack of contentment. Our hands do the things we shouldn't do. We're just as sin-stained as anybody else, aren't we? We're going to look at those prisoners and say, yeah, look at those guys. And in a way, that's true, isn't it? According to society, they've done a whole lot worse than we have. But before God, our hands are just as black as theirs. Our hands are just as stained with sin as theirs. And every one of us deserves that prison called hell. But thanks be to God. Thanks be to God that we have a Savior who said, no, I'm not going to let their hands stay dirty. I'm going to wash them with my own precious blood. I'm going to die for them on Calvary's cross. I'm going to rescue them. I'm going to make them clean again, as white as this. I'm going to rescue them, and anyone who believes in me will go to heaven. That's the kind of love we have. Love one another as Christ loved you. You see, that means not looking for things to criticize. That means accepting each other. Are we very different people? Nod your heads, come on now. Extraordinarily different people. Oh my goodness, look at those two right there. Right? Where we're from, what we do, how we dress. Right? Which football team we root for. All those things. We're very different people. But we're all one in Christ. We're one in Christ. Just looking for differences. Let's look for things that we have together. Let's continue to gather together for worship and thank God for the blessings we have received from Him. Let's say, Jesus, come and be a part of our church. We want to glorify You. We want to love each other as You loved us. That's why I find our meal afterwards is a blessing, isn't it? We can share that time together and stuff. Accept one another. Yeah, I saw him go for thirds over there. Easy to judge, wouldn't it be? But again, that's not what we're called to do, is it? We're called to love each other, to accept one another as Christ accepted us. Do you remember how many times in the Bible Jesus did that? He's accepted people who weren't accepted by others. Who came to Jesus? The tax collectors, the prostitutes, the outcasts. Remember that? Now here I got to make sure you're very aware that I'm not And nor does God condone sin or wicked behavior. Remember the lady who was brought before Jesus? They wanted to stone her for adultery. What did Jesus say? First, he said that he without sin cast the first stone. Yeah. And then, you remember he said to her, go and sin no more. Yeah. You see, he didn't condone her behavior. It was wrong. It was sinful. It was not acceptable to God or to people. But he accepted her as a forgiven sinner in Christ. And that way they are not sinners anymore. Do you remember when Jesus cleansed the temple? Why did he do that? Because they were going contrary to God's word. They had the animals inside the temple, making it into a stockyard for Pete's sake. He's told them to go and sin no more. Don't bring those critters back in here again. Remember the story he told too about the publican, the tax collector, and the Pharisee? Of the Pharisee, he said, his heart is far from me. He said he will not go into heaven because his heart is not close to God. The tax collector who bowed his head and said, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. This man, he said, will enter God's kingdom. He didn't condone his sin, but he said, repent, be forgiven. Right? That's what our acceptance is. We're all forgiven sinners, aren't we? Nod your head strong again, this one too. Yeah. We sin a whole lot. Oh, I wish I could say I didn't. I really do. But that'd be a lie, wouldn't it? We're all ashamed, we're all embarrassed. Yeah, not your head too low on that one there. We're all redeemed sinners from Christ, aren't we? All redeemed sinners by Christ. We have hope only because we are in Him. We can therefore love each other because Christ loved us. We can accept each other because God accepts us. No matter who we are, where we're from, what color we are, all that stuff. We are one in Christ, the Bible says. We are one in Christ. You see, we are not to accept false teachings. We are not to accept the things that are contrary to Scripture. No. Some churches proclaim that they are open today. Boy, I hate that. Open, that means anything goes. You want to do that? Go ahead. You want to do this? Go ahead. It's all right. No, it's not all right. Sin is sin. What God has said about marriage is the thing. One man, one woman for life. And only in that relationship has God given that gift of sex. Anything else is wrong. We cannot say, like some say, we're open, so any kind of behavior is tolerated. It's not. God calls sin the awful thing it is. But for those who struggle with sin, those who repent of their sins, those who want to be forgiven in God, it's there. It's there in Christ Jesus. We have that forgiveness. We cannot, sadly, get together those who proclaim the Bible just to be a series of myths and nice stories. No, the Bible is what? God's Word. True in every single jot and tittle. The Bible is God's error-free Word to us that we rejoice that we can study it, learn from it, apply it, and find in it forgiveness from Jesus. And their life. You see, staying in the Word is the mandatory, right? Staying in the Word is mandatory. We cannot say what God said is wrong. We cannot do what God has forbidden because that's wrong. We cannot condone sin because God said that's wrong. But we can receive repentant sinners. We can welcome those who are willing to humble themselves before the Lord, bow down and recognize His authority, who seek Him and then in their lives try to follow that, right? We are a church. We are one another in Christ. So we love one another, we accept one another. I read a quote from Vince Lombardi. And I'm not a big Packer fan, don't worry. But I read a quote from Vince Lombardi that really fits in well with that here, and he said this about sitting one other and being together. There have been a lot of coaches with good ball clubs who know the fundamentals and have plenty of discipline, but still don't win a game. Then you come to the third ingredient. If you're going to play together as a team, you've got to love one another. You've got to love each other. Each player has to be thinking about the next guy and saying to himself, if I don't block that man, my whole team suffers. I have to do my job well so they can do theirs. The difference, Lombardi states, between mediocrity and greatness is the feeling these guys have for each other. When the players have that special feeling, you know you've got yourself a winning team. Isn't that true in the church too? We love each other, work together with each other, we forgive each other. When we try to remember we're all different, but we're all one in Christ. When we learn to love each other, when we learn to accept each other as Christ accepted us, then we have what He wants. His church. Christ's church. And we remember that all our days.